Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sincerely Self Podcast. Today, we are joined by a guest that we have had before. If you've been here for a while, one of the first guests that we had was Aesthetics by Jayde, and today she is joining us again. So, Jayde, for those of us who are new to you, give a little backstory of what you do.
Hi, I am Jayde Burk. I am a master esthetician and a nail technician. I have been on this podcast before, and I'm so excited to be back. Mostly, I offer nail services currently, but I am a licensed master esthetician, so at times I'll offer services like lash lifts, brow lamination, things like that. So I own my own LLC, and I have for 5 years now, and I also have kind of shifted into doing some more branding work, kind of helping other creators push their brands in ways they want to. Collaborations are a huge thing in my business right now. I'm collaborating with other business owners and trying to grow my networking in the Salt Lake Valley now.
So, the last time that you came on Sincerely Self, we kind of talked more about starting a business, kind of what goes into that, and getting over the fear of just getting started. So now we're at the point you're 5 years into your business, and you, I'm sure, have a very different perspective on it from when you first started. So, what would you say for getting in that stagnant period? What have you been doing to kind of overcome that?
So I feel like it's normal to have stagnant periods no matter how long you've been going. If it's 1 year, 1 month, 5 years, I think it's pretty normal. But I think the point in getting yourself out of it is just separating yourself from your business and really finding things that you love to do outside of that. And so I love to create art, I love to craft, kind of do things with my friends. And so I feel like whenever I do that, it kind of brings back my creative side with my business and helps me want to get out of that stagnant period, whether that's by forcing myself to put an outfit on for the day, or maybe make a little TikTok to make my day start better. Whatever it is will kind of incite that like fire in me again. And I feel like once you do that, it starts to flow naturally. So
I remember we were talking a little bit before we started recording the podcast about how stagnation, like in a business, is something that no one really talks about. It's definitely talked about in society. Oh, you should start a business. Like, that's the best thing you can do, whatever. It's a little bit tricky at first, but no one talks about, okay, you've started, you've been doing it for a little bit, and you're kind of feeling a little bit stuck. So I love that you're kind of like, it's really important to nourish yourself outside of it so that you don't feel like you're getting into that stuck period.
yeah, getting stuck in the same spot can be really like isolating, and you feel really alone when it's like you're owning a business. But I think it's just good to remember like there's no certain journey we're supposed to be on. Everybody has their own path, and even if you need a little bit of time off, you can take it and you'll come back 10 times harder. So that has been something that I wish I knew maybe beforehand, that like it's okay to have those times, sit in it, feel it, and then you can pull yourself out of it whatever way is best for you.
And in the aesthetic business,
Yes.
when you're growing as a person and maybe your aesthetic is changing a little bit, kind of how you want to approach the business is changing a little bit, what advice would you give for letting your business kind of grow with you and letting it evolve with you?
Yeah, so I would say like when you're thinking about your ideal business goals, not thinking about necessarily what you want right now, thinking about like the best version of your business or yourself in the future, and like what you can kind of do to make sure that your business and what you're doing now will resonate as well with that person who you eventually want to be and are trying to maybe become. And I think that I wish I kind of would have known that it's okay if you don't know who you are exactly in your business, because when I first started, I didn't necessarily know the route I wanted to go or what I wanted to do, but I always had a vision kind of maybe the end goal. I kind of found my way through like the haziness and what I wanted by just listening to my inner self through that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, something we talked about a little bit earlier also is the first step for that. Jayde herself was like, you got to kind of figure out who your inner child is and kind of heal that. So what were some of those things that you did to figure that out for yourself?
Yeah. I feel like I had to separate myself from my business and just know that like I am not Aesthetics by Jayde. I'm Jayde. I'm a person. I'm great. And I've started this awesome business, but it's separate from me. And I can go and I can do other things that aren't always connected to my business and aren't always necessarily pertaining to the growth of my business. I can just be, and not having as much anxiety in those moments where I could be, you know, working or texting back clients or whatever it is. Every time I just put my phone down, take a little time for myself, I feel like I come back and I'm ready to really create a better version of my business.
Yeah. With your business, I would say something that you put a lot of time and effort into is the quality of the media that you're posting with your business, but also on your personal page.
Yeah.
Like, your page is so authentic. I was telling Jade this earlier. Her page is such a representation of her personality. Like, she posts whatever she's feeling, like it's an expression for her. So how have you kind of been able to embrace that and like kind of your mindset around social media in that way?
I feel like consuming can be really a lot sometimes, and I feel like I've tried to filter my own algorithms and what I'm consuming to be what I am naturally drawn to. I'm like a maximalist. I love color. I love bright things, very busy things, and that really fit with my nail business and my aesthetic business. And so naturally, I feel like the content I'm consuming is aligning with the content I want to create and I want to push, and it just starts to become easy, you know. Once you start really seeing only what you want to create, it kind of makes your whole bubble just push you to be a better version and your content, and it gets easier. I really think that I don't force myself to a schedule with posting. I think that's really helped me. I wish I would have known that in the beginning, because I'd be like, I need to post at 12 p.m. or I need to post at whatever. Whenever you have that creative side inside of you, post something, you know, there's going to be someone out there who wants to see it. And we went to a Galentine's event recently, and it was a women in business event, and that was really awesome. And we were chatting with some women at a table, and this is random, but I just wanted to add this in. One of the ladies was like, no one would ever want to watch my content. It's stupid or boring. And I was like, well, what would you post? And she's like, well, I'm just a mom. Like, I would just post mom things. And I was like, there's a whole side of content that maybe you are not seeing. And so you don't know that it's possible that somebody would enjoy that, right? But there's a whole side of that I feel like she just hadn't seen. And so maybe instead of consuming content that makes you not feel more yourself, try navigating through that, consuming a little bit more that makes you feel better, whether that's literally reading a magazine, watching an old movie from whatever era you like. I don't know. I feel like finding other aspects that will connect back later on will really help you find yourself through your business. So
I think so many people are like, I would love to have my social media popping off or be able to be more or less like a social media influencer.
Yes.
But it feels like such an oversaturated place, no matter what you're doing, whether you're going into like aesthetics or whether you're going into mom content. It feels like whatever you're trying to do, everybody's already doing it. But one important thing is bringing what you have from your personality, because that's the one thing that not everybody has. So I love that you're like, just post whatever you're feeling, whatever feels right for you, because it doesn't really matter what kind of category you're trying to post into. There's somebody that's going to resonate with how authentic your energy just is, because 100%. We can feel that through the phones, you know what I mean? So I love that you're like, no, you can post it and people will resonate with it as long as it's you.
Yeah, no matter what it is, there's a space for you. You just really have to find a space that will appreciate you. And I feel like through the last 4 years especially, I've had so many transitional phases where I've had to make jumps that are really scary like that, whether I'm changing my content for the better or for different or whatever it is. And it feels like it might not be right at first, but every single time I've kind of shifted and made my space more accepting and gone with my gut, it's always like made me want to be a more authentic version of myself. And it was always in there. I just didn't necessarily know how to like portray it.
Yeah. So something that I did want to touch on that I just barely kind of remembered is something that you have posted about, is that you've kind of made a goal for yourself to just dress more, you know, just try and dress a little bit more different, try and dress a little bit more unique, you know, and just try out different trends that maybe you wouldn't have before. So I feel like that's another form of expression, you know, and it does reflect on social media as well. So how has your journey been with that?
I feel like as a little kid, I loved playing dress up. I always was trying to wear fun, crazy outfits whenever I could, if it was a Halloween event or, you know, just a holiday, an excuse to. But I've realized through owning my business and through meeting so many amazing people, like, life is worth celebrating today. It doesn't have to be a holiday that somebody made up or to celebrate. You can make every single day like that. And when I see someone dressed up in a fun outfit, it lights that fire inside me, and it makes me want to create, and it makes me so excited and so happy. And I feel like so many of us like ignore that because we're just like, oh, it's too much, or it's not a holiday, there's no need to do all of that. And it's like, well, there is a need to do all of that, especially if it makes you feel more in tune with yourself and more aligned. And my content just started to flow naturally when I started putting that stuff on, because I wanted to post and I wanted to show people what I was wearing. And I would go to the grocery store and someone would say like, oh, I love your cheetah jacket. And it was a little lady who maybe wants to wear a cheetah jacket so bad. And like, you don't have to be any age, you don't have to be any type of person, you don't have to be anything to like something. And I think with content, it's really the same. Like, we like weird things. People consume the most crazy forms of content. Like, we'll watch people cleaning the tiniest corners in their house, or organizing every drawer, or, you know, whatever it is. And I just think that there's always a space for you, whether it's, you think it's weird, you think it's different, it is different, and it's different for a good reason. So I think my outfits have really transpired into like just finding that inner version of myself.
Yeah. Everybody always says to live in the present or be present. And I feel like that's such a perfect example of that, because it's like you're just celebrating because you have today. Like, that is more than enough reason to celebrate.
Absolutely.
And so many people are like, well, I'll do that in the future. I'll do that then, or for this holiday, whatever. But if you're celebrating every day and just wearing whatever you want every day, yeah, maybe you'll inspire other people to wear what they want to wear or be who they want to be. So I love that you're like, no, like, I am going to do it today, because why would I not do it today?
Yeah. I feel like we as business owners can push the boundaries, especially like now in 2025, of like, we don't have to follow the rules. I can attract a different demographic of clients who like that I'm authentically myself, and I'm not maybe wearing a blazer to our appointment and not being very personable and asking them about who they are and learning from them. Because what I found is I attract that a lot more. I just feel like as business owners, our brand doesn't have to make any sense to anybody else. We have the option to push our boundaries in any way that we want to. So I hope to inspire more people to do that. Whether you own a nail business, a podcast, you have a product for sale, whatever it is, if you want to do something that's different, do it, because there's no rules.
Yeah,
there's
literally
really no rules. And I found that with nails. Like, a lot of nail techs would be like, oh, I don't want to try that method because I've never done it before. I'm like, well, you have to always like make mistakes before you know you can't do it, or you can. So just go for it, and if it's wrong, you'll learn from your own mistakes, and just know that like there's peace in that,
because we're always changing. I love how you were like, if it's wrong, you're just going to learn from it. Like, it's just kind of what you needed to do in that moment. And I think that kind of goes along with, sometimes we get so dependent on the successes of our business, or just letting our business kind of define who we are. And if we don't end up having that business forever, where does our self-worth kind of come from then? So how have you found separating your self-worth from your business?
I feel like really devoting time to be present with people who make me remember that like I'm worth more than just the successes I've made. Because it's really easy for people superficially to see you and say, you're so lucky, like you have so much and all of these things. And we really do make so many sacrifices for the business that we have, and that's amazing. But just because I've done that, or just because I have this great business, doesn't mean that I am only great because of that. And so I just try to remind myself that every day.
Yeah. Or that it's easy. Like, so many times people will see a successful business, and it's really easy to see that and think they're so lucky that theirs worked out or whatever. But you have to think of the time and the dedication that kind of goes into that. So what would you say to someone who maybe is in the first couple years of their business, and they're kind of realizing, oh, I have to put a lot of time and work into the business?
I think just devoting that time, but also knowing that it doesn't have to infiltrate every part of your life. You can just exist outside of when you're creating. And I think it creates an environment for you to make whatever you're doing a lot more intentional, and make sure that you're not just burning yourself out over time. Because I found that when I wouldn't take those times away and separate myself from my business, I'd get really lost in it. It felt like it was following me everywhere, and I was just Aesthetics by Jayde, and there was none of that separation. So I think really just finding like yourself through that process. Yeah.
And something that you have just started doing is you've been releasing merch that goes along with your business.
Yes.
So how have you found a way to kind of represent the energy of your business in your merchandise?
So I feel like I wanted to create something that I would wear every day. I'm wearing it right now.
Period.
But I had to wear it for the video. But I felt like I always love to throw on a hoodie. It's comfortable. That's exactly what I want to make people feel in my business, is comfort. I've always wanted to make people feel comfortable in doing their nails, in social media, in whatever it is that I'm doing in life. I've always wanted to be authentic and make people feel comfortable. And I felt like this hoodie really like resonated with that. It was bright, it was colorful, but it still had that aspect of it's dark. It's not necessarily drawing a ton of attention, but then you have like a fun aspect on the back of it.
Yeah.
And I'll have to show it in the picture
in the video.
Yeah, can you see it in the back? But it just has my nutrition facts, and it kind of talks about like things that add into my business, and it's a cute little touch on branding. And I think that you don't have to do branding in any specific way, whatever kind of business you own. I remember in high school, people would always tease me because I loved to do photo shoots. I'd go out and take photos wherever I was at, and it was just kind of a hobby for me. I loved photography, modeling, things like that. They were very creative. And I feel like people always told me, do whatever you love and chase that. And I guess I didn't know hoodies necessarily would be what I'd be doing now, but it really aligns with what I love to do my entire life. And I feel like everyone who wears it kind of gets a little piece of that inner child of me. Like, it's fun, it's flirty, but it's also like matured enough to where you can wear it in your day-to-day life. And branding should be like that. It should be authentic. It should feel like you, but if you want to push the boundaries, you can.
Yeah. I love that, because so many times I think people get so nervous about like, oh, what if this is something that people don't like, or all the things. But I feel like as long as it's something like, you had so many reasons for why this resonated with your business, right? And I feel like as long as you have that, then it's perfect for your business. You shouldn't worry too much about if people are going to like it or not, because if they like your business, then yeah, they're going to like it. Of course they will. So something that is really big on social media right now are nails, and specifically like the custom designs that people are doing for their nails. Like, everything is it's being embraced for it to be so unique. So how have you noticed that as a nail artist?
I feel like when I started doing nails, it was very trendy designs, checker print, smiley face. In 2020, when I started nail school, and things were very trendy back then, as they still are now, but I've noticed that people began to find a lot of authenticity in themselves and creativity in themselves with designs. Like, they're pushing the boundaries, whether they work at a bank or they work as a nurse with short nails, and they do something that's a little bit different. I feel like it gives them that connection to their inner child a little bit. I've found that every single girl who comes in and gets their nails done or posts a photo of their nails, you can tell that it makes them feel so beautiful. It makes them feel so pretty. And I love that people are now being able to be a lot more intentional with their designs. Like, I had a girl a couple weeks ago come in, and she wanted a medieval design, and I had never been asked for anything like that. And it was such a fun, like, pushing me out of my comfort zone moment, because I'd never created art for someone like that. And I realized that now, if you're pushing out that you want to create art like that for people, you'll find those niche clients that are willing to work with you. Like that.
Kind of try it out with you.
Try new things. And so I'm really excited to see where like the future of nail designs go, because it's already insane where they're at now.
And where nails is just getting so popular, and it's becoming more of a trendy type of thing. I mean, it's always been trendy, but right now, specifically nail designs, super trendy.
Right. The market's flooded. And what I try to remind myself is the market's flooded everywhere. We're in an age where consumerism is huge, and everybody wants to have the new thing and have their hands on something. And I think that reminding yourself that, again, no one can create something that you can attract. Like, the energy that people are going to be attracted by is not by your nails or what you really are doing necessarily. It's more by the way you go about it and the authenticness that you have when approaching that service. So I think if you just remember to maybe not follow exactly what everyone else is doing, try your own thing. I think just touching back on everything's flooded right now, but nobody can do it the way you do it. And if you remind yourself that and continue to remind yourself that through whatever it is, people hating on you, people not coming to your business in the beginning, it's always a slow journey, but you just have to trust yourself in that process. And if you want to be a nail tech, if you want to be an esthetician, if you want to be a business owner, there's no one stopping you but you. And there's never too many people like out there doing it. So you can too, you know, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. There's a million social media influencers and there's room for a million more. So I think that more power to you if you're going to take that jump.
Yeah. And I think so many times people are like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like, be more authentic, whatever, because everybody says it, but it's because it's true. Like, it sounds kind of cheesy, but really the most successful people are the people who are the most themselves. You know what I mean? They're doing something that's a little bit different just because that's what they feel called to do. And so I think even though it feels scary at first to be doing something maybe a little bit different than everybody else or taking a little bit of a different approach, those are usually the ones that end up doing the best because they're a little bit different. So I love that you're like, no, embrace that it's a little bit different because it's going to work in your favor.
Yeah, I think I agree with that totally. And I think success doesn't have to be what everyone else's version of success is for you. I think success for me is being able to create the life that I've always wanted and I've always desired. And I think that's what it should be for all of us in our own way. So,
yeah. So, Jayde, the last thing I kind of want to touch on is what would you tell yourself 5 years ago when you were just starting? If you could kind of give yourself any advice from what you know now, what would you say?
I would say that the jump of starting is one of the scariest jumps you'll make of starting a business. But I think finding peace and knowing that that won't be the only time where you're going to have to make a decision like that. I think that nobody really told me once I start, that's not really the hardest part. It's continuing and maintaining. And when you really have that goal, you can't give up. And I think I just wish somebody would have told me maybe the reality of owning a business and following your dreams. It's not easy. It's not just going to be handed to you, but it is going to all fall into line and be a lot easier than avoiding what you've always wanted. So yeah, I think that you can find peace in really knowing that it's supposed to be up and down. It's supposed to be up and down. It's never supposed to always be amazing and 10 out of 10 and like your business is succeeding and you're better than everyone else. You know, you're on your own journey and you have to learn things and it's really going to make sense in the end. But I'm really happy that I stuck with it and I really hope anyone out there who wants to do it does as well.
Yes. Oh, it's so fun to just kind of see our growth, I feel like, from a year. It's so fun to see from the first podcast that we did a year ago to now, like the perspectives that we both have and just like how far you've grown in your business. So thank you so much for sharing this with us, Jayde. Jayde has a website now. So make sure
I got it designed.
Yes. So make sure you guys go and check that out.
We had some issues kind of running into production with hoodies, so they will be launching very soon. But as for now, my website is up and you can find all of my information there.
Yes, and I will have Jayde's socials as well.
Thank you so much for having me on the pod. It was so fun. I can't wait to be back. We've already talked about like more content we want to create eventually, and I love like being in front of the camera and kind of talking on a podcast. It's a different environment than I'm used to. So thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I was gonna say you guys will see Jayde again very soon. I was gonna say see you in a little bit, see you in a while.
See you soon.
Yeah, seriously. Okay. All right, bye everyone.